I'm Dr. David Hill. I'd like to thank you for joining me on today's webinar. Today I'm going to discuss cleansing in a healthy way. Now let me begin by saying I recognize that there's many different cleansing programs that are available, all of which I know are designed to help rid the body of toxicity. However, what I'm going to share with you today I feel is very pertinent and important to understand because it's focused primarily in the body's own ability to eliminate toxicity. The simple things that you and I can do that will support the body in its natural daily cleansing process. Now let me begin by sharing with you briefly what I believe toxicity is. Toxicity is anything that can induce a harmful effect within the body. Now, more importantly than understanding perhaps what that definition is to recognize that we're all exposed to a great amount of toxicity. Now, my comments today are going to be very brief and very focused because I believe if we can develop a simple process that we can follow, a daily routine, then more than likely we're going to be able to achieve exactly what it is that we want to. One of the ways to recognize the amount of stress that we're under in terms of how it relates to toxicity is to recognize many of the signs or symptoms associated. And you can look at this list and either yourself or maybe somebody you know probably has a lot of different things on this list. So the question becomes, how do we manage the amount of stress that we're dealing with in terms of our body? Well, there's really two primary things that we can do. One is that we can, of course, reduce the amount of exposure that we have. Now, all of us, in one way or another, are going to come in contact with different types of chemicals. Cleaning products, health products, in our food supply, environmentally we find this type of a toxic exposure. Now stress, the reason why I want to suggest to you that you reduce stress is because stress weakens the resilience of the body to ward off some of the things that are associated with toxicity, some of the unwanted side effects or illnesses that can occur. So manage your stress. The other thing is poor nutrition. Poor nutrition is perhaps one of the largest factors that contributes to the body's inability to deal with the amount of toxic exposure that we have. Now, the opposite of poor nutrition is the other thing that we can do is to give proper nutrition, provide daily support. So we're really going to focus in on those two primary things today. Reducing exposure, which I think is self-explanatory. So the bulk of our discussion now moving forward will be, what do we do to provide daily support? Now, I'm always asked this question, what type of cleansing is best? And so I want to break cleansing down into two primary methods for you. One is this nutritional or daily cleansing that I want to focus in on. Now, it has some obvious benefits. It is detoxifying to the body. I like it because it's a daily maintenance. It's not something that we have to plan for or that we're only going to do periodically. Daily maintenance means that daily we're going to support the body in going through this process. It's core to the body's ability to function, so it has a core support model. And then I like it also because it's very gentle. You know, toxicity is not specific to an age group or specific to a circumstance. Everyone is exposed to toxicity, and everyone needs to enhance the body's ability to control and manage that. So I like the fact that nutritional cleansing is very gentle. It's also focused within what the body normally does. It means that everyone can do it without worry. Now, that's very different than what we have with isolated or time-sensitive type cleansing, specific cleansing. Still, it's detoxifying, but these isolated cleanses or periodic cleanses can be very aggressive. They can be stressful. Many of them are associated with specific lengths of time. And perhaps the most difficult thing here in my mind is the Herxheimer reaction. Now, if you don't know what that is, whenever we push the body beyond its normal limits or its ability to deal with a circumstance, we increase the potential for some type of a reaction to occur. Many times when people are going through cleansing, and either you've experienced this or maybe you know somebody who has, they've had an unfavorable outcome in terms of a reaction. And that's because they've gone beyond the body's ability to control that. One of the things I would like you to really understand today is that cleansing, in terms of how it affects or works within your body, is really focused into nutrition. Even if you're doing an isolated or a periodic cleanse, if you don't have the nutritional support that your body needs, you're going to greatly increase your likelihood, not just for a Herxheimer reaction, but I'm going to tell you that there's great inefficiency now associated with that isolated cleansing model. Much better to do just this nutritional support on an ongoing basis. And then anything that you want to do in addition to that, the body will tolerate and will be managed much, much better. So what we're talking about today with cleansing is building this foundation that your body can draw upon. And really we can isolate that into three very specific things. So we want to reduce the exposure. We want to add nutritional cleansing, so nutritional support. And then we can do periodic organ support. Now, why I believe that is important is because there are very specific organs associated with cleansing in the body. The liver, we know, is the primary organ for cleansing in the body, but the kidneys, the colon, the lungs, most people don't think about the lungs as a cleansing organ, but they are. And then lastly, the skin. Now let me show you how this would work within the body. Whenever we're exposed to some type of a toxin that the body needs to rid itself of, doesn't matter what the toxin is, its first stop is going to be the liver. Remember, this is the primary organ of cleansing. Now, I don't want to give a lot of detail here, but I'm going to walk you through this process so you can build this framework for yourself to more fully understand why I say building this foundation for cleansing is critical. Otherwise, nearly everything else that you do, you won't receive the benefit from it that you are looking for, at least not the maximum benefit that you could receive. So when we have a toxin and it goes to the liver immediately engages into what's going to be referred to as phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. Now, phase 1 is different than phase 2, and they do some very specific things. Phase 1, for example, is the conversion phase. This is where we take fat-soluble molecules and we try to convert them into water-soluble molecules. Once that occurs, that conversion phase, we go to phase 2, and this is the conjugation phase. And the reason why the conjugation phase is so important is because we now take that newly formed water-soluble molecule and we can transport it by conjugating it with some other type of a molecule directly to the kidney, and we can eliminate it. So you see the connection from the toxic exposure to the liver and to the kidney. We do the same thing now with the colon. The colon, however, is more focused into fat-soluble molecules, those molecules which we can't necessarily eliminate through the kidney. Now, the skin represents the organ of last choice in terms of elimination. For example, if we had an excessive amount of stress building in the colon, one of the options that the body has to eliminate these fat-soluble toxins is through the oil ducts in the skin. One of the ways that the body can deal with an undue amount of stress on the kidney is to eliminate the water-soluble molecules through the skin by way of the sweat glands. So you can kind of see how this whole picture unfolds and how there's a process that the body goes through to manage toxicity. Now, we're talking about nutritional cleansing, and so I want to share with you, keep that in mind, that there's really 4 key components in a nutritional sense. Now, when we look at this whole schematic, I want you to focus back to phase 1 and phase 2 toxicity. Phase 1 is focused in, and phase 2 also, on these 4 nutrients specifically. Although they'll have effect throughout the whole body, if these components are missing in the very beginning stages of toxic elimination for the body, we're not going to be able to effectively accomplish phase 1 and phase 2. Now, what are those key components, those cleansing essentials? It's antioxidants, essential fatty acids, vitamins and minerals, and enzymes. Now, I know that many times I've talked about the Lifelong Vitality Pack as being core nutritional support. So think about the alpha CRS. It is antioxidants. There's other things there too, but this is where we're going to get our antioxidant activity. Essential fatty acids from the Z omega, and vitamins and minerals, of course, from the Microplex VMZ. we have really a couple of ways that we can improve the body's ability to deal with toxicity. One, as we mentioned, was to reduce exposure. The other is to improve the body's nutritional stores, and that's what we're doing when we do this core nutritional support with the Lifelong Vitality. Now, enzymes is the missing component from that Lifelong Vitality Pack, and you can see that enzymes perform very specific functions within the body. They're critical for each one of these, and in fact I will tell you that vitamins and minerals, for example, the Microplex VMZ, cannot function fully. You won't get the benefit that you need without also having an enzyme. They're intertwined. Much of nutrition is not isolated. Instead, it works in connection or as a part of an additional component to other types of nutrition in the body. So enzymes function with vitamins and minerals function with enzymes. Now, you can improve the amount of enzymes that you have in your body, which is important for this nutritional cleansing program. And you can do that by eating more raw and unprocessed foods. However, we still may not receive the amount that we're looking for just because of how our food is generally processed, how it's grown. We don't have the same enzyme content, so I would suggest that you consider taking Terrazyme. This is a concentrated enzyme formula that also has peppermint, ginger, and caraway seed in it. Also, we have this patented assimilation system where we give you some critical vitamins associated with these specific enzymes. So we not only give you a wide variety of enzymes, we give you the correct amount, and we give you an assimilation system so that you get the full benefit. Those four factors together help to build this nutritional store, which, think back to that schematic I showed you on how the body cleanses, supports that function in each one of those individual steps. Now, I would feel remiss if I didn't speak with you a little bit about the essential oils. The essential oils, I believe, can enhance any process that we're going through. And although I could talk about many different oils, I would like to keep my comments today very simple and very focused. Remember, we're trying to create a program that we can follow daily that is very simple. Anyone can do. So the essential oil I'd like you to do in addition to the Lifelong Vitality and the Terrazyme is the Zendocrine essential oil. Now, this is clove, grapefruit, geranium, and rosemary, all of which are very specific or have attributes that can be specific to supporting the liver. They do other things too, but we're using this because we want the benefit to come to the liver, which is, you know, the primary organ of cleansing in the body. Now, easy to use the Zendocrine blend. You can apply it topically right over the liver. If you don't know where that is, it's on your right side, right underneath your rib cage. Or, I don't mean to insult anybody with that, but sometimes we just don't know those types of things. So, over the liver. You can use it in a capsule, 3 or 4 drops in a capsule. You can take it by mouth. You can even put it in water if you'd like to. So lots of ways that we can apply the Zendocrine essential oil. Use this oil in much the same way that you've traditionally used the other oils that we've talked about, and you're going to have some targeted benefits that will come to the liver. Now, the other thing I will tell you, although we've talked about this daily process that we want to follow, we want to support the body in a nutritional sense, building this foundation. Another thing that we can do nutritionally is some quarterly support. Remember, we talked about the organs of cleansing. We identified them as the liver, the kidneys, the colon, the lung, and the skin. So we've created a supplement called Zendocrine. Now, Zendocrine is focused or meant to be a quarterly type supplement, or you could do it more often if you would like to, but it's focused in specifically from a nutritional aspect on developing some support for each one of those key organs. So we have targeted organ function associated with this particular supplement. So even though we know that we're going to have some exposure and that we're going to have some difficulty potentially, taking this additional supplement at least quarterly could prove to be very beneficial to you. Now, that is a very simple and very easy program to follow that, if you will allow the body to work within the limits of its ability to respond properly. Now, the reason why I say that's important is because so many times we do cleanses and other things that push us beyond that limit, and we have a type of reaction. And you've probably heard people say, oh, this is good, this is a healthy thing. Not necessarily. I'm not speaking today to say that you should never do periodic cleanses. Rather, I'm telling you that you can increase the effectiveness of anything that you do if you first build this foundation. And building this foundation is important because not only do we work within the limits of the body, we can improve the body's limitations this way so that we have a greater ability to eliminate toxicity by enhancing or building greater stores of the nutrition that's necessary for our body to go through a natural, healthy cleansing process. You can see why I say a daily approach is key to being able to maintain the health in the way that we would like to. So just in review, what we've said today is use Lifelong Vitality daily, use the Terrazyme daily with your meals, apply the Zendocrine essential oil blend over the liver or use it in one of the other ways that I mentioned briefly, and then use the Zendocrine supplement at least quarterly. You can use that more often if you want to. I've seen tremendous benefit come to individuals who have learned to support their body nutritionally in this daily cleansing process, and I encourage you to incorporate those same practices. Thank you for being with me today.